David. Governor, thank you. Just one other piece of information that would like to you and the media to make available to the public is if there are questions about any family members and the American Red Cross is the point at this time to coordinate any information about missing family members, etc. And that is a 211 number that they have made available. So at this particular point in time, any request of information about either family members or friends that are missing, 211 is the appropriate way to access that. Let's open it up to any questions you all may have. Yes.
Governor, have you been briefed yet on the latest numbers as far as fatalities and injuries?
It's still early in this process, and the preliminary numbers are. I'm not comfortable giving you a number right now, and I think that's appropriate. And until the families are notified of any casualties, I think it's appropriate for us to allow this search and rescue operation to go forward without estimating, because that's all it would be at this particular time.
What do you know about the compliance or safety history of this plant?
Let me get Zach Kovar, who is the head of the TCEQ. He has the specificity. They looked at this, obviously, so that they would have the history before we stepped up here today. Zach.
Thank you, Governor.
Just a second, spell your name.
Zach Kovar, Z-A-K-C-O-V-A-R.
The question is, how has this plant been under your scope at all?
It has. They actually have 2 air permits with the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality. They do have just an average compliance history score. Since getting their air permits in 2006, we haven't had any notice of violation. So,
Wasn't there a violation back then?
There was a violation in 2006. There was an odor complaint. So we had an investigation. We resolved that complaint with having the company come in and get authorized with 2 minor new source review air permits.
Was there any fine or any sort of enforcement action other than requirement of the permit?
I think that the permit was the resolution to that violation.
Have you all inspected that facility since?
Given the size of the facility and the authorized emissions from the plant, generally those are inspected based on complaints. And like I said, we haven't had a complaint from that facility since 2006.
Do we know of other facilities like that in the Central Texas area? Are there a lot of these kind of places?
Yeah, there are certainly a lot of fertilizer facilities in a lot of small towns in Texas. Certainly agriculture is a big business here in Texas, so they certainly do exist.
Can you elaborate on average compliance history? What is average?
That means they don't have any negative or they don't have any negative marks against their compliance. Therefore, there's not really a ranking, good, or bad, or indifferent. Since they have not had a complaint, they just fall into an average compliance ranking. There has not been a complaint since 2006. That's correct.
So you have not inspected them?
That's right. That's my understanding.
The complaint in 2006 was that there was some kind of air emission, and then you went and inspected it, and you found out they did not have a permit, but were supposed to. Is that?
Well, there was an odor complaint, so we went out and did the inspection. And there was a transition, but I mean, this facility's been here since 1962. So they were grandfathered up to a certain point. I believe in 2004 they were supposed to come in and get reauthorized. They failed to do so. And I hate to speculate why. I don't know. But in resolving the complaint, we got them into compliance by getting the authorizations there.
Are they required to have any kind of fire mitigation or any kind of incident disaster response team or any kind of protocol like that on site with full-time employees looking out for incidents like this?
There are specific procedures within their permit authorization. They're also regulated by other federal agencies that may have a bigger role in that.
So CSB will have, USCSB will have a major role in that, or is it?
You'd have to check with them. I'm not sure.
How are the air quality tests going through there? When will we be able to find out those results?
We've got real-time monitoring out there right now, and they have had some rain, so we're getting zero non-detect on all the volatile organic compounds and other issues. We've had a slight detection of particulate matter, but none of health concern around the perimeter of the facility.
What are the volatile chemicals that triggered this event? What are we watching for? I understand there was an ammonia odor complaint.
That's right.
In 2006. Is that possibly a leak or a loss of that particular gas that's contributed to the origin of this fire, this explosion? No.
Well, I think we'd have to check with the company, and I'm not sure what the basis of that odor complaint was.
Just to address that question, at this point, it's really too soon to speculate on what the cause of this was or what the products that were involved. So we really need to wait until we get the actual investigation done before we come back with that answer. It's a great question. It's just too early in the process in order to give you a solid answer on it.
Governor, it's a small town, and this was a big factory or a big plant in a small town. How can a town like this recover from something?
Well, obviously, you heard the Lieutenant Governor and the state, both through the legislature and through our support, will be there. We had about 75 homes that are impacted at this particular point in time. And again, I want to reiterate what Chief Kidd said, that it is very early in this process, but we know there were 75 residences that are going to have either minor to substantial damage up to and including being pushed off their slabs. And you got a school with a substantial amount of damage. Commissioner Williams and I discussed giving them the flexibility to move these young people into other schools and how to manage them. The school will be closed today, tomorrow. They plan on opening schools back up Monday, but we told them that they open up when they feel comfortable that they need to open up, and we'll give them the flexibility that they need to do that. I can't answer the number of employees and what have you, but anyway, when you have a small town, there obviously it's not so much the employment issue that we're focused on right now as the safety of those citizens, the impact of the residences and what have you, and that's the immediate need. On the employment side, we'll deal with that as we can, and that's a private sector enterprise, so they'll be making whatever changes they need to make there. So again, I don't know how that community is going to be impacted just by the number of individuals that may or may not lose their job because of the of that facility's explosion.
Will you be seeking federal aid?
We'll be asking for a emergency declaration.
Governor, can you address the volunteer fire departments? The state has slashed funding for these types of departments over the past years. Is this something which may cause an increase from the legislature or your office bringing back those funds?
That is a question that gets asked often when budgets go up and down, and they do. So I'll suggest to you that's being addressed and being debated as we speak in the legislature at present, and how and where funding goes is legislature prioritizes, they fund, and generally speaking, not everyone's always happy with the funding levels. I've been doing this for about 28 years now, and I've never seen the legislature get it perfect, but they get it. They generally get it right, by and large. So. Well, it's interesting. In 1987 and 89, when I was a member of the legislature, I found substantial funding sources for volunteer fire departments. So over the course of the last 20 years since then, I don't know whether that's gone up or down from that baseline, but being a small town legislator and being a governor from a relatively small town, I understand the importance of volunteer fire departments. But again, the appropriators are who appropriate, and we have we give them our best advice, and then we'll work together with them over the course of the next 30 plus days as we get a budget.